Everyone wants to take their business, their skills, to the next level. Small and mid-sized business owners have exceptional insight into how to do this. They endure and thrive because they find ways to overcome the challenges that come their way, and they can teach us valuable lessons to apply to our own companies and lives. Stephen Nooner, founder and owner of Alkali, a company with a unique process that helps businesses more effectively buy and manage their insurance programs. And Bob Gibbons, builder of Riata Commercial Realty, a real estate advisor and tenant advocate, are two prominent Metroplex businessmen who, along with their weekly guests, will ask their and your probing questions, finding impactful solutions that will help you reach for the next level. Here are your hosts, Stephen Nooner and Bob Gibbons.
Welcome to The Next Level. This is Bob Gibbons.
And I'm Stephen Nooner.
Thanks for being with us today. We're excited that you're here to learn about the next level conversations that propel business. Stephen, who's our guest this week?
Our guests are Scott and Rebecca Weismann of Weismann Technologies. Weismann Technologies helps small and mid-sized businesses manage their IT services through solutions that make sense. They have 7 employees. They're based in Plano, Texas, and are some good friends of ours. So this is going to be fun today. So welcome, Scott and Rebecca. If you guys want to learn more about Weismann, visit Weismann Tech. That's WEISMANN Tech.com.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to join.
One of the things we always like to start off with is what we call wisdom from others. And Stephen, who's our wisdom from this week?
A guy by the name of Dave Anderson.
Which I understand that Rebecca used to work for a guy named Dave Anderson.
I don't know if it's the same one.
I'm wondering if it's the same guy. You know, he's in commercial real estate, so he's probably not that bright. I doubt we would be quoting him. What do you think, Rebecca?
Well, there are a couple of politicians out in California by that name, so who knows what we'll get from this quote.
Well, let's go with it here. Keeping underperformers too long causes you to become acclimated to misery. You no longer feel it as pain, but see it as normal.
Oh man, that is so indicting, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And that's in so many different arenas. That could be with your employees. That could be with your politicians. Since we're in election season, we have a lot of that going on, right?
Yep.
I'm afraid we might have some more of that coming too. But
and what's hard, I think, in business and maybe in politics too, is that things evolve. Sometimes, you know, the person that was really, really great when you hired them in a certain role, as the company grows, if they don't grow with the company or with the position, sometimes they can get left behind when new people come in.
You can outgrow your employees.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, and also you have the problem where sometimes a stellar performer walks in the door as a stellar performer, and then through peer pressure of the coworkers that are not quite so stellar, they try to dilute that person's performance to make him look like everybody else.
Absolutely.
The death nail there.
That is the death nail. Well, one of the other things we always like to do is we like to make this real, make sure that, you as our entrepreneurs, and by the way, you're our next leveler of the day. We call people that are guests with us next levelers, so you guys are that.
All right.
But we also know you're
thank you.
real people with real issues, real problems, and real backgrounds. So one of the things we always like to talk about is sort of what's different about you, what's something about you that other people don't know. And Scott, what about for you?
Something that most people don't know is I'm actually a certified scuba diver. I am fascinated by the ocean, and growing up, we went all the time to Port Aransas, Corpus Christi, etc.
Wow.
I've been diving with sharks, and one of my goals in life is to basically dive with great white sharks.
With or without the cage?
Yeah. Well, either one.
That's optional? You're a crazy man.
All the trips make you have a cage.
Okay, so Rebecca, how
much life insurance
I
do you
was
have?
just going to say that.
You need to ask the wife about whether or not there should be a cage, but I'd like him to go in the cage the
Depends
first
on the
time,
day.
and we'll see how things go.
Sometimes he gets the cage, sometimes not, depending. Okay, well, cool.
Well, let's get into your business a little bit. Tell us about Weismann Technologies and what a typical engagement, who you serve, and what a typical engagement looks like.
Sure. We are obviously a small business. We're a growing firm, and our typical client is a growing company that's looking for help and direction. Our goal is to become a partner for that organization.
Any
And
particular industry that you serve in?
we have not focused on a specific industry, but we have a lot of CPAs, a lot of law firms, a lot of title companies that have naturally become our clients.
And what do you think that is? Is it because of their industry, or like clients refer like clients, or they have something specific about the technology they use?
Probably a combination of all the above. A lot of it revolves around security. So we look at security as a major function of the business.
It's a huge deal.
Trying to keep North Korea out of their backyard.
Trying.
So tell us, how did you get into this business in the first place?
I started IT about 20 years ago. And when I moved up from San Antonio in 2003, I joined the Staubach company and was basically a desktop person. Learned through over the next 5 years, learned anything and everything, servers, networking, etc. And it actually was kind of funny because my father is a small CPA company. He owns his own business. He's been there for 30 years. And he would talk about his IT guy and say he's not responding, he's not doing this, blah, blah, blah. And it just became an opportunity and a thought in my head that said, I can do that, and I can provide better service than most of these other smaller companies out there.
Yeah.
Now, I understand that when you were the Staubach company, you met somebody in particular in another country or something that became significant in your life?
Correct. Somebody in Canada. Rebecca here was up in the Ottawa office. She was a local contact up there. And her boss got a nice little virus on his computer, and we spent the next 2 weeks talking. And
So you met because of a virus.
Correct.
That definitely requires explanation.
That's correct.
They do call it the love bug, Bob.
Literally.
Well, it's just a testament of the type of customer service that Weismann Technology gives to our clients that I actually was willing to move down here and marry him. Then we created a company, so it kind of makes sense.
Your webpage ranking just went way up.
Right.
So,
hilarious.
what do you guys say? I mean, I know more and more companies are moving to running a lot of their IT infrastructure in the cloud. It seems like they're having less and less servers and things that a lot of people think of as IT technology. So, how does your business model or service model change, or does it, with companies that are doing that?
We haven't, let me rephrase that. We've developed some partnerships.
Okay.
So we're able, with those partnerships, we're able to provide any solution that the client needs or wants. They can ask us any question, how do I, what solution fits this need or this issue? And we're able to provide that solution.
Okay. So you can actually help them figure out which solution is going to be best based on what their need is.
Correct.
And then does your model, in regards to what you guys charge, if they're using certain, do you adjust that based on time, or is it based on how do y'all do that?
Depends on the service. Absolutely.
Okay.
It'll adjust depending on what type of solution we're putting in place.
So the cloud's really just a different delivery method versus having it on your hard drive. Is through the cloud, but it's still technology that has to be managed, and they have to figure out how to get to it and keep it up and running and all that kind of stuff. So in a way, you're saying it's sort of the same. I mean, it's still part of your service package. It's just a different delivery method.
Correct.
Okay. So what is one of the biggest challenges you have in running your business?
One of the biggest challenges we have is basically keeping up with the technology. It's a tremendous challenge. New things always come out, new software, new hardware, new cloud services, new options. So keeping up with that.
How do you keep your people trained on all those things? Yeah, that seems like a never-ending nightmare.
Never-ending nightmare. You have to be diligent, and I am always looking for the new stuff coming out. So I'm looking at the new services, the new capabilities, and I will kind of do an assessment initially and try to bring that in to the clients or to our technicians to say, okay, here's the new Windows or here's new server stuff coming out. and try to bring that into them.
So how do you make sure that your guys know what they claim to know when you're hiring them or interviewing them?
It's a challenge. From a interview process, you've got to dial into, ask the specific questions and look for the certifications that are necessary.
So a certification really tells you that they really do know what they claim to know, or do you have like tests that you can use online?
The certifications at least tell us that they have the basic understanding and they can pass the test. Obviously, we're not looking for people just to pass the test. We're also looking for people that can apply that knowledge. So I do have some tests and some basic functionality and capability screening that allows me to try to see and make sure that just because I have this certification over here, does that actually translate to business experience and knowledge?
That's huge. I mean, that happens a lot in our business. People kind of worship at the certification level, but
Right.
just because, I mean, I say this lovingly, there's some educated idiots out there that
absolutely.
they know everything, but they don't know how to apply it to a situation.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
that's
well,
where the power is.
We have in the day we had what we call like paper MCSEs or paper Cisco guys that that's all they know. All I know is how to pass a test.
Now, Rebecca, I know you have talked about, to me in the past, about what kind of devices you guys handle. It's not just the computers and the server, but it's beyond that. I mean, phones, internet. I mean, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, basically, we work with the consumer, with the client, mostly with their computers and their printers and those types of everyday needs. But we can also get on their servers and work with their new users, terminations, and all that kind of stuff. And in addition to that, we also work with network gear, so switches and routers. And Scott is voice over IP certified with Cisco, so we do have a lot of phone systems that we can build, manage, as well as purchase for them because we are resellers. So we're able to get those types of pieces of equipment for their environment for them directly.
So really, literally all different technology needs
Yep.
within a business.
Definitely.
So what are one of the major threats in your industry right now?
Major threats, obviously security, malware, viruses. That's a huge one right now. We get a lot of calls. My computer's slow, this or that, and it's a concentration that we have.
And I mean, I saw like the big news just recently, like even Apple's now getting
Yep.
into that.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Well, and from your business, Stephen, I mean, I know cybersecurity insurance is a real big up and coming thing that's just been dominating your industry for a while.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. There's so many products. Products are evolving. They're adjusting pricing. They don't really know fully how to price it yet. So,
Right.
I mean, there's tons of products, and the pricing to me is probably cheap because I mean, when you look at some of the potential claims that can occur and the amount of dollars that can be involved in the liability, it's something that every business owner needs to be considering, not just buying insurance, but the risk management strategy of making sure you have the right partners in place.
Well, like whenever you have I heard whenever Target had their security breach a while back, it costs like $10 per name on that list to replace that person's credit card.
Right.
And there were millions of names on that list. That's just crazy. Well, we're about to take a break. So, Stephen, what are we going to talk about when we get back?
What are we going to talk about? All right. When you work in an industry that is changing as rapidly as technology, where do you have to focus most to stay on track? Stick around. The answer will surprise you.
And now, Confessions of a Recovering Landlord.
This is Bob Gibbons with Riata Commercial Realty, and I am your recovering landlord. After 20 years as a landlord, I now use that experience only for the benefit of companies that lease or buy office buildings and warehouses. Today's confession: knowledge is power. We all negotiate from a position of power and strength, or at least we want to. In any negotiation, the party with the most knowledge probably has the upper hand, and landlords count on this being the case whenever you're negotiating a lease, because most landlords are professional real estate investors and they hire professional leasing agents and property managers. Landlords are in the market every day negotiating leases, while tenants probably only negotiate one, maybe two leases every few years. So tenants feel outgunned. Don't let landlords have all the power. As a former landlord for 20 years, I understand how landlords think and what motivates them. So let me put that knowledge and experience to work on your side of the negotiation. To learn more, contact me at texastenantrep.com. Again, that's texastenantrep.com.
Have you started making plans to take your business to the next level in 2016? Hi, I'm Stephen Nooner, founder and CEO of Alkali. We have a trademark process called the Empowered Advantage that enables CEOs, business owners, and entrepreneurs to more effectively buy and manage their insurance. Before sitting down to make your plans for the new year, here are just a few things to consider. Would you say that you have an actual insurance strategy, one that you can articulate, or have you just purchased a policy here and there over the years? If you have an insurance strategy, was it discussed under the pressure of a renewal deadline or considered earlier in the year to avoid fire drill decision making? If your answer was no to either of these questions, then you may not have the right partner on your team. Visit alkaliservices.com to contact us and take the next step to a bigger and better future.
My name is Sheila Sheely, president of Sheely Marketing, and after this grueling interrogation by Bob and Steve, they will be hearing from my lawyers, all of them.
Welcome back to The Next Level, Conversations That Propel Business. We're here with our guests, Scott and Rebecca Weismann of Weismann Technologies, and you can find them on the web at weismanntech.com, and Weismann is Weismann.
Tech is TECH.
Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Is you sure it's not TEK?
Well, I've seen some
Used
of
to
that.
be.
Yes. So let's talk high-low a little bit. So looking back for the last 12 months, what would you say has been the biggest high?
Easily, we actually hit $1 million in gross sales last year.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
After how many years of being in business?
May will be 6 years.
Nice. Good for you.
So.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Why is that, important to you? Obviously there's financial, but what does that mean?
It's all money. No, it basically is a validation. We've worked our tails off. So for us, hitting the 7 digits was I don't want to call it important, but it was
a milestone.
Something that said, hey, you have earned this and you've done this.
Yeah, and people are valuing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
It's validation, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, and when we actually started back in 2010, each year thereafter we kind of doubled our sales. So being able to do that and finally hitting the 7-digit mark was pretty special day last year.
Great. So next year it's $2 million.
Sure.
Did you do anything to celebrate?
We did. We actually went to Bob's Steakhouse.
Nice.
Went out to a nice dinner, had some champagne, and drank the whole bottle. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, there's always a flip side to the high-low. So tell us about a low.
Lows, in the last couple of years, we've lost a few people and a couple of animals in our lives. Passed away.
Passed away,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
So that's been a challenge on all levels, physically, mentally, spiritually, etc.
Wow.
And how do you, what did you do to kind of weather that storm? Because I know business is obviously
Doesn't
emotionally
stop.
taxing as well. It doesn't stop.
To be honest with you, it was very difficult. Trying to keep busy, trying to keep focused on the future, and trying not to look at the past as much as possible.
And in all due honesty, it's been as difficult as it has been being able to work with your husband, or in his case, his wife. We've been able to support each other, so we both knew each other's rhythms and what we were going through. So sometimes, I had to take a different step and a different approach at work, and vice versa, so that we could maintain the work, but also maintain what we needed to in order to be able to be a whole person on a regular basis. So at a regular job, people don't look at you that way, but in our unique situation, we were able to support each other and be a team, not only at the office, but emotionally, because of what was going on in our personal lives.
And that's such a blessing. And thank you for sharing that, because a lot of times, those relationships, it tends to go, we serve a lot of business owners, our husband-wife team. As you guys know, my wife's COO or president of our company.
Right.
And it either goes great or goes terrible. And when you can, that's a unique relationship where you
Absolutely.
can, as you said, make yourself a whole person, not just for your clients, but for your team too, that look to you for leadership. And
Yep.
I don't think a lot of people have that luxury when they go through those things.
Well, and, last year I had my dad and my mother-in-law both died, and so it was kind of a tough year for us too. But in the aftermath of that, my wife quit her job and came to work with me, and so I'm real excited about that. I know you guys are huge animal lovers. I know you lost some dogs as well, and I'll tell you that several years ago, probably 15 years ago, I lost a dog, and it was just devastating because, this was my first child.
Right.
We got this dog 4 months
Correct.
after we got married. And I thought it was so cool because one guy found out about it, guy I did business with, and he sent me a card. I mean, he made it a big deal. And I thought, wow, he was the only guy that did that. A lot of people are like, that's just a dog.
Right.
But when you're the one who's, the dog parent, that was really hard. It was
Absolutely.
worse than any grandparent I ever lost, which sounds terrible, but I didn't
It does
live
sound
with.
terrible.
It does sound terrible. I'm a terrible person. But I didn't live with a grandparent. They lived, hundreds of
Nope.
miles away.
Yeah.
That dog was in my life every day.
And the animals have a different love, unconditional love, so they're 100% dependent on you.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a different challenge. And we're still working through it.
And we lucked out. We do have a lot of clients who happen to be animal lovers. So some of them were actually a participant in that process for us, as well as when we did lose family members, and some were really close to us. So it was very nice to not only have that relationship from a business level, but they were also there and they understood what we were going through. So it kind of really helped us through that process.
That's awesome. Well, let's we're kind of on a low, but let's talk
next.
about breakdowns that have turned breakthroughs as
Sure.
you guys have grown your business.
We last year we lost one of our biggest clients, or actually first clients, sorry, and
The first client
the
you ever
very
had?
first client we had.
Oh, wow.
So 5 years. They moved
Good
on.
run.
It was a good year, a good time. When we started the business, they were our first client, and so my goal from day one, from the very first time they said let's go, was to basically build the business up so that if they ever did leave, then we're not devastated by that loss. Some companies build their business around a very large client, and if that client leaves, they fail.
Yeah.
So our goal was to basically be able to sustain ourselves if they did.
And you did it, must have,
We
right? I
did.
mean, first you celebrated last year, broke the million, and lost your first client all at
Correct.
once. So
Correct.
kudos to that,
Yeah, thank you.
and for the foresight there. I mean, it stinks to lose a client, but
So what do you have to focus on most to stay on track in your business?
What do we have to focus on the most?
Sorry, we'll take this part out.
Okay. There we go. Okay. We really need to focus on our technicians obviously from a skill set perspective, but making sure that they understand our message, making sure they understand what we're about, and provide our clients with the best customer service possible.
And that's counterintuitive. I mean, that's why I used it as a little bit as a hook, because I think in a business that's evolving as quickly as technology, I thought it was pretty fascinating. It's like, no, that part's not even the part. I mean, yes, it's a part, but the thing is we got to stay focused on the client.
Right.
And, I mean, is that because, the tech will distract you? It's like you got to remember that.
Oh, tech will distract you no matter what. Yes, absolutely. But my goal for this business is to provide the best customer service possible. Period. So, we drill that into our guys, and we make sure that they are the front line of defense most of the time.
Right.
So they are talking to the clients. So as long as they have that message and they understand that, then they should be providing that exceptional customer service.
Well, that's one of the things that concerns me about a lot of companies that outsource some of their, what I would consider to be their core stuff, like help desk type stuff. Like I know Steven's business, one of the cool things he offers his clients is whenever they have an issue or a question about their health insurance, they don't have to call the help desk of, Aetna, Blue Cross Blue
Right.
Shield, whatever. They call Steven's people.
Right.
And they answer it for them.
Right.
So in your industry, a lot of your competitors have that help desk outsourced
To India or
Exactly.
somewhere else. Who knows?
So do you do that as well?
No, absolutely not. Our help desk is all our technicians, our local guys that are always touching the client's system. So they're very, very much involved with the
English
clients
language
themselves. The English language, well, for the most part. part of the resume.
They may have a Canadian.
Well, yeah.
There might be some
Spin.
processes to deal with.
So yeah.
Is there, I mean, are there things, I know that this is really important to you guys, and I know that you've been working hard building out workflows and processes and everything. Is there a way that you measure that there are other metrics that you look at to see, like response time, stuff like that?
Absolutely. We look at obviously how many tickets they did and how much time it took, as well as response time. We do have SLAs with our clients, so we got to make sure we respond.
What's an SLA?
Oh, sorry. Service level agreement.
Okay.
Basically says we are going to respond in a certain time for.
Oh, I see. So downtime is a big problem in your situation.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So we look at that. We look at customer satisfaction. We look at making sure that their tickets are completed in a timely manner. So we take all that into consideration for them as far as their productivity or efficiency rating.
Interesting. It's many years ago. I was working with Michael Stores. Their corporate headquarters was a tenant of mine back when I was on the landlord side. And their data center, if it went down, they told us at that time it would lose them $1 million an hour in sales. Because people go to the checkout, if they can't swipe that credit card, they just walk away from the merchandise because they don't have the cash.
That's correct. Wow.
So downtime with companies is a major issue. So that puts a
Absolutely.
huge burden on you guys.
Yes, IT is not a 9-to-5 job.
I bet.
It is not.
What would you say over the last 6 years in business, what would 3 biggest insights?
3 biggest insights. First, number 1 would be finding the right team members. Finding those technicians. Technical skills are easy to learn. So finding the right people that actually have the customer service and the ability to communicate properly, the technical part of it, is critical. And then building the relationships. Our business realistically is relationship built. It's not a transactional based type of industry. My goal is to become a partner with the client for the long haul. So we can go in and we can get a client and say, okay, here's a project and be done with it, but that is not really what I'm looking for. I want to be the partner for the long term and develop their IT, their technology base.
So if we were sitting here together in a year, 3 years from now, what's next? How are you going to be successful?
The goal for me is to basically, as I always say, is to work on the business, not in it. So building it enough, having the right people in place, having the right processes in place to be able to kind of step away from a always in the trenches perspective.
Gotcha.
Well, I just want to thank Scott, you and Rebecca for spending your time with us today. I would
Also
like
known
to
as Becky, by the way.
Yeah.
She likes Becky a lot.
Wow. Okay. I'll let you run with that one. And I want to thank the audience. If you'd like to get in touch with Scott or Rebecca, visit WeismannTech.com, WeismannTech.com, to connect with us in the show. nextlevelshow.com, Facebook, various other Twitter, other social medias. If you heard something today that you thought would be valuable to someone else, a friend or someone that needs to hear this message, please share us, like us, pass it along.
We love you. See you next week.
Have a great week.
You have been listening to The Next Level, Conversations That Propel Business with Stephen Nooner and Bob Gibbons. Join us every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. for more prolific conversations that will take your business to the next level.